Hello everyone, this is Rahul Jain here. The last few days have possibly been some of the toughest days of my life. Like most of you all, Covid-19 was only a news item for me, and it was only numbers until a few days ago. But everything changed when it hit my family, my parents. 15 days ago, my father was admitted to a hospital for having persistent fever for 5 to 6 days, and he was finally diagnosed with Covid-19. But the good news is that he was discharged yesterday night after having recovered from the illness. What transpired in these 15 days is something that has shaken me completely to the core. From waiting for dad's COVID report for over 80 hours to getting a call from ICU in the middle of the night for consent for incubation and use of ventilator if needed, to roaming for diagnostic centers to hospitals just to get my mother tested, to my mother testing positive yet having no symptoms, to me being anxious and worried about me being infected with the virus and passing it over to my two little young kids. It's been a trauma that I would never forget. But this video is not about our story. This video is to share my first-hand experience from my interactions with over 20 doctors and my desperate attempts for awareness about dealing with the virus from various sources. Please note, this is my personal opinion from my experience as a bystander to two COVID patients. One who had an pre existing medical condition and has battled death for over 9 days in the ICU. Two, the other person who's completely asymptomatic, not even a sneeze. So, let me share with you 6 stages through which we can deal with the virus. Stage 1, don't get out of your homes. Stay home and stay safe. With the lockdown opening up, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing is that every time we are getting out of our homes, it's like we are chasing the virus. And then there are idiots who are celebrating birthday parties, and even bigger idiots who are attending those. Remember, even God will not be able to save you unless you help yourself. So, the biggest thing that you could do at this point in time is to stay home. Your home is your safest heaven. So if you have any pre-existing medical condition or are over 60 or below 10, please avoid getting out. Stage 2. If you still have to go out, go, but avoid the crowds. Avoid the virus hitting you. And the only way to avoid that is by practicing social distancing, wearing a mask, and frequent hand sanitizing. It is alleged that 80% of the cases are asymptomatic. I'm not sure if that's a good news or a bad news. Why bad? Because the asymptomatic patients don't even know that they have the virus, and they could be unknowingly passing on the virus to places because they'll be just roaming around in the public spaces. And what's the point of those thermal checks which are happening because the asymptomatic patients won't have any symptoms and they would be just roaming around everywhere. So the only solution to this is everyone wears a mask always. Whenever you're out of your house, wear that mask always. Maintain social distancing and have frequent hand sanitizing. If you're feeling uncomfortable with wearing a mask always, wait for the ventilator pipe. That'll be far more discomfortable. You need not wear a N95 or N97 mask always. Even a cloth mask will do. Unless you are with a patient who has COVID or are in the hospital, which has a possibility of spreading more. Stage 3. When we come in contact with the virus, the only solution that we have here is to build our immunity and maintain our respiratory hygiene. Let's understand how the COVID-19 virus works. It hits our nose, throat, and lungs. Coming in contact with the virus need not mean that you will be infected with it. If you maintain the respiratory hygiene of the nose with frequent steam inhalation on a practice called as Jalaneti, and your throat with constantly drinking hot water only and saltwater gargling, and for the lungs with a few breathing exercises. As far as immunity building, you can focus on having supplements for vitamin C, vitamin D, and other multivitamin tablets which are required alongside the desi kada that we have, which we can prepare at home. Stage 4. If you're feeling like symptoms of COVID-19, initiate isolation and don't be in a rush to go to the hospital or get yourself tested. Symptoms like fever, common cold, body pains, or throat pain are symptoms of basic common flu as well and need not be COVID-19. But when you're exposing yourself to the hospital or the diagnostic centers, you are rather exposing or increasing the risk of catching the virus from those places. And also the fact that when you test early, there's a very high likelihood that you'll be getting a false negative. So, when you're having any symptoms, initiate with a basic paracetamol and continue observing your symptoms for a few days and continue having your immunity boosting medication, which we just talked about. Stage 5. If the symptoms persist for over 3 to 4 days, make sure you consult your doctor, preferably online, and get yourself tested for COVID 19. If the test comes positive, if you are in the 80% of the cases where there's no other medical condition, you'd be advised hydrochloroquine, which is a standard prescribed protocol as of now, and alongside a few immunity boosting medications. And you'd be advised home quarantine. That's the protocol as of now. But make sure that you keep a track of your fever levels, and the most important thing is having an oximeter to check your SpO2 levels. At any point in time, if your SpO2 levels go below 94, 93, make sure to consult your doctor and have yourself checked up again. Stage 6. This is a stage when we're talking of admission to a hospital. Mostly in cases where there's a pre-existing medical condition, or people with over the age of 60, or people having their SpO2 levels drop below 90% is when the admission is required. Mind you, there's no treatment for COVID-19, only symptomatic treatment and based on the protocol which is approved by ICMR. So the admission is only for caring for the patients to pass the virus through their body while managing any critical moment. So with the facility in the hospitals of oxygen supply or the ventilator support which is required is what is being offered by the hospitals as a solution for passing the treatment at this point in time. There's no treatment for COVID-19, only symptomatic treatment. These are challenging times, but I believe these too shall pass. For the ones who are still careless, let me tell you all the turmoil that one goes through when one tests positive, or even worse, when you pass on the virus, you become the carrier of the virus to someone you love. That pain is unimaginable. To the ones who are feeling paranoid about how and when they'll be catching the virus, let me tell you all, we are much, much more aware today of how to deal with the virus than what we were 2 months back. So just take care, stay safe, and it should all be fine. For the ones who have tested positive or have a COVID positive patient in their homes, the good news is that the fatality rate in India is far, far lower than what it is across the world. And if you have symptoms which are mild to moderate, you are sure to get out of this and you'll be up and running soon. It's just a matter of time. Just maintain or manage the emotional turmoil that we all go through. Stay positive, and that's how you'll go through it. I would like to thank everyone who kept our family in their prayers, and it is their blessings that have kept our family intact. I'd also like to salute the entire medical fraternity across the globe who's fighting out this pandemic by risking their own lives and making sure we are through this pandemic as soon as possible. Thank you.